She went to A&M, so we need to stick with shapes and colors.
Yeah, maybe I start with that. But you're not just a woman in insurance. You're a married woman he's on your team too, correct?
Yes, we run a team together.
You guys run a team together.
How many marriage counseling sessions have y'all been to?
0. That's wrong?
No, I'm saying you should.
Not yet. I think my answer is going to be very different than a lot of women
Great.
would be. Because I actually feel like it's my superpower.
Yeah.
Versus a detriment. Thank you for making my 2026 goal
There you
happen.
go.
I love it.
JulieAnne, welcome to the TMG People First podcast. You guys just sponsored an event here at the Mahoney Group, which we're super grateful for. And why don't you tell us your title, because you told it to me 3 times and it's really long. And so tell us what you do for Brown and Writing and what is your title?
Okay. My title is, I know it's like a whole mouthful, but I am the National Real Estate Practice Leader, Principal, Senior Vice President, Property Broker. I feel like we have to specify at the end property
Yes, you
broker
do.
being in the wholesale world because we're specialists.
Yes. Cool. Well, thank you again for stopping by. And this is kind of a spontaneous podcast, which is cool. My co-host, Jason Andrade, could not be here today. He's flying home from some Asian country, and he'll be here tomorrow while we start filming a few others. But JulieAnne came to my office. She was visiting and said, "Hey, I see your podcast. Let's get on it." And I said, "Let's do this."
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yes.
I'm really glad that you stopped by. So I have a couple questions for you to start,
Okay.
and then we'll get into kind of what you do, who you serve, and who the people that ultimately you add value to. First question is, you're 14 years old. It's only a few years ago. And it's Friday or Saturday night. You have $20. What are you doing? How are you spending your money?
Okay, so I grew up in Katy, Texas, which is suburbia to the max, and it's right outside of Houston. And I know exactly what I would do. My friends and I would be dropped off at Katy Mills Mall and go to AMC and go see a movie. And I'm pretty sure when I was 13, we saw Napoleon Dynamite and we got a large popcorn, obviously with extra butter, and
That's awesome.
a large Coke. And
Yes.
we loved walking around the mall because we thought we were cool. And now in hindsight, I have 2 daughters and I'm like, there's absolutely no way I would ever drop my children off at a mall. Obviously, different time, no diss, mom and dad, but
Do
yeah.
people still go to do kids still go to movies in the mall? Like, I feel like I see them a lot at the mall, but I don't know if movies is
the
a
thing.
because you have all the streaming, I just don't know if they go see a ton of movies anymore. Because I used to go to movies all the time as a kid too.
Yeah. My daughter, Laura, she's 5 and we've shown her all the classics. But we do go to movies sometimes because she really likes movies. But I would say I don't think kids are seeing as many movies. They're really into that movie or show, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters. Did a whole birthday party the other day. So
Yes.
super fun. All right, second question, and this is my favorite question because I never know what people are going to say. What's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? What's the typical morning look like for you?
Okay, I have to say, besides my children, I really look forward to getting dressed every morning. So I wake up and I think, what am I going to wear today? Not what am I going to wear today? I just really like getting dressed and being presentable. And I think that kind of sets the tone for the rest of my day. So I
cool.
really look forward to that.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's get to know you a little bit. Early childhood, what was it like growing up close to Houston? What was your family dynamic like? What are some of the thoughts and feelings of your childhood that you remember the most?
I had a great childhood. I am the oldest of 5 children. It's 4 girls. And my dad was actually scheduled to get a vasectomy. And then, you know how that goes. And my mom went to the doctor and turns out she was pregnant with her 5th kid.
it was a
And
boy.
and they got a son. So yeah,
gosh.
we had 5 kids. We are all 2 years apart, except for my sister Christine and my brother Joey. They're 15 months apart.
Okay, cool.
And it was just a lot of fun. We always did road trips every summer. We would take our big conversion van and we would hook up our PlayStation 2 and drive to Florida, which I would never do that now. Bill and I actually drove our 2 girls to Seaside this past summer, and we looked at each other afterwards and thought, we will never do this again, what we were thinking. But we always went to national parks, and I remember going to Glacier when I was 13.
Montana, right?
Yes. It's to this day, I still remember seeing that national park in like the mountains and the snow, and it was so beautiful, and I still remember that feeling. So I really am so grateful to my parents because while we didn't travel internationally, we got to see a lot of the United States, and we all played sports. And what's really fun is we're all really close still. So my 2 sisters live in Austin, my brother lives in Dallas, and my sister Leah lives in Los Angeles. But we really make a point to see each other as much as we can, and I think that's kind of rare. And I think my parents did a really great job of instilling how important it is for families to not only love each other, but like each other. And we have so much fun together. So thank you, Mom and Dad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Love it. So then you go to college, which Texas A&M, right?
Everybody hates on us. Gig 'em.
No, I think it's great. Texas A&M, and you have finance degree, correct?
Yes.
But how did you get into the insurance business? Because everybody's has a different story.
Yeah. So kind of a interesting story. I went to Texas A&M because I thought I wanted to go somewhere else. I played soccer very competitively when I was younger, and I actually ended up hurting my knee my junior year playing high school soccer.
Okay.
And it made me really think and decide I don't want to play soccer in college. I just want to go be in college. And so I pivoted, and I really started looking at larger schools. And my mom and I went toward Texas A&M, and I never wanted to go to Texas A&M. I can say this now because I'm an Aggie, but I thought Aggies were kind of strange. And my parents are from the Northeast. Okay. So the whole big Texas school thing was very foreign to us. But we went to A&M after we had toured a few other schools. And my mom and I remember, like, we were on the tour and there were just squirrels everywhere. This is so silly. There were squirrels everywhere. And we were like, even the squirrels are nice here. And I thought, you know what? This is a great university. I think it was number 2 in the state at the time behind UT. And it was only an hour and a half away from Houston. And I wanted to go to a big university. So I chose A&M. And then I went in as general studies, and I chose finance because it had the largest placement out of college. And my parents were very gracious and paid for us to go, all of us, to go to college. And I wanted to make sure that if they were paying for it, then they were going to get their, return. And so I chose finance, and I hated finance. I hated it. I learned a lot, but I just thought, I do not want to do this my whole life. This is horrible. No offense to finance people. Like, you make the world run. And I went back to Katy randomly on a weekend. And one of our good family friends at the time was the office president of a large wholesale company of the Houston branch. And we just started, I sat down next to him and we just started talking. And he was like, actually, our company is starting an internship program, and I needed an internship. And I was looking at investment banking and just really not excited about it. And I applied, got it, and I went in. I learned about wholesale insurance for that summer. And I did this big presentation at the end to all the brokers. And my old boss, Stacy Berging, who I love, was adamant that she wanted me to be her associate broker when I came out of college. So that's how I got into insurance. And I started in wholesale off the bat, property.
Got it. What's cool about your story is you have a hurt knee.
Yeah.
So you're down in the dumps, but then you decide to pivot. Then you go to a big school. You go to Texas A&M, but to do finance.
Yep.
And you don't like it. And you're like, this is not for me. And then ultimately you meet people and you get an opportunity.
Yes.
Somebody picks you. Why do you think she wanted you to be the associate broker? You think it was your personality, your grit, your tenacity? What do you think it was?
That's a great question. I've never asked her that, and we're still pretty close, actually. I think that her and I are very similar. We're both type A, outspoken, dominant women. And I think she saw a lot of herself in me. And I don't know, I think she just felt energized when she saw me. And I really loved working for her. And then her counterpart, Gloria Tudor, they taught me a lot about being in insurance and being a woman in insurance. And I owe a lot to them.
Well, let's double click on that, being a woman in insurance, and then we'll get to how you're married to somebody in insurance that you guys are actually on the same team, and we'll get into that whole fun dynamic here in a second. But talk to us about being a woman in insurance. What does that mean, and how have you been able to be, so successful, and what is it like being a woman in insurance?
So in the wholesale world, I will say I'm a producer, and on the property side, I can't speak to casualty, but on the property side, I think there's less than 20 women who lead a large team in what I do. And maybe you can fact check that, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And
I think you're right. I'm thinking in my head, all the big
like across the
shops
nation.
Yeah.
And I think being a woman in a male-dominated industry gives you such an edge because we don't think the same as a man, and we approach things differently. And it's not to say that men aren't amazing at this job, because they are, obviously. Like, I compete with men all day. But I think the way that I approach things and the way that I multitask and consolidate my time and how I do things really lends itself to being my superpower. And, what I was really worried about when I had my first baby, oh my God, everybody's going to forget about me. I'm going on maternity leave. But what I did, and again, like I learned this from Stacy and Gloria, is I put processes and procedures in place for our team. And so nothing skipped a beat. And I think women have a lot more organizational skills when it comes to creating an infrastructure and then building upon that. And again, I'm not a golfer. I don't like to golf. I will go out on the golf course, and what I've learned is, hey, people just want you to keep up with the pace of play. And I think also what's great about being a woman too is, I don't know, I think you just can command a room in a different way. And the way that you communicate, you can be a little softer. You can be aggressive, and men respond better to that, because honestly, 90% of who I deal with on a daily basis is men. And what I really like is being able to communicate pretty freely with them, and them just, okay, they don't think of me as a woman, I guess is what it's saying. I don't think of myself as, oh, this is going to be different because I'm a woman, but I do think that being a woman lends itself to me having different skill sets than men do. Does that make sense?
What you just shared, I think our listeners are going to love.
Okay.
So I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it was really cool, and it was cool to listen, because I'm thinking of interacting, with people here at the company. Our COO, Morgan Scott, her and I work together a lot, and you kind of remind me of her in some ways. And so I think what you're saying is exactly correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
And it's cool to see that it's not just at our organization, that it's other places too. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. My next question is, you work with your husband. Did you meet your husband in insurance?
I did.
What is that dynamic like on a day-to-day basis? Because, you just gave a powerhouse answer about being a woman in insurance, but you're not just a woman in insurance. You're a married woman he's on your team too, correct?
Yes, we run a team together.
You guys run a team together. So you run a household together, you run a team together.
We have children together.
None of this would have happened if you didn't break your knee, probably, and get into the space. But what's it like running a high-performing team with your husband?
I love it.
If I asked him that question, I was going to say, maybe I should ask him.
Yeah. No, I think of him as my partner in life. Like, yes, he's my husband and he's my biggest cheerleader, but I wouldn't have the life that I have without him. And like sometimes it like makes me like a little choked up talking about it, because I really think if I had married somebody else, I don't think I would be as successful, because he lets me be 100% who I am. And like, I am hyper competitive. When we were working at a different company before we started Brown Writing, we had different codes. And if he was beating me, I would
You
be
don't like
like,
that.
oh no, I would go into like hyperdrive mode and figure out a way to beat him. And I'm like, this is not healthy. Like, but he loves that I am just like a go-getter and I don't stop. And he has a skill set that I don't have. And we actually, I think we complement each other very well, because people who click with him, I'm not necessarily going to click with them. And his clients, like, they don't, and my clients, like, they don't necessarily click with him. So it's actually a really great dynamic. And people think we're together 24/7, which we are, but we're not on top of each other 24/7, if that makes sense. Like, we're not on emails all together. We're not dealing with the same accounts. We're not talking with the same people. Now, if there's a big problem and I need somebody from a higher level to help me, obviously, like, I loop him in. But he's my biggest cheerleader. And insurance has changed my life.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is because I met him. I would say I'm an extroverted extrovert, and he's more of a extroverted introvert. And he's more of like a silent competitiveness. I love to win. Like, there is nothing better than winning. Like, I love it. And he's more, and I guess they kind of say he technically would be considered more competitive, but I don't agree with this. He hates losing.
I see.
And I love to win. I remember when I was 3 years old, someone asked me, when did you know you were hyper competitive? I remember when I was 3 years old, and my dad took me to play t-ball, because when you're little, you try everything.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the t-ball and I swung the bat and I missed it. And I threw down the bat and I said, I hate this. And I walked out. And my dad was like, oh my God. And he put me in soccer after that, and that was it. Like, I could outrun anybody. There was nobody who was going to work as hard as me. I would say, though, like, I was not as naturally gifted as a lot of people, but I would outwork them. And that has kind of carried me through my life, is I will outwork you. I'm pretty smart, but there are people who are way smarter than I am. But there's no one that has the tenacity that I do. There's just no way.
So you have this work ethic, you have this tenacity, you have this grit. It's awesome. It's good to know that there's other people out there that are like this.
Are you like this?
I have some intensity to me a little bit, yeah.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you sharing your story so far. What are some things you've learned in leadership? Because you lead a team of what, 15, 17?
Yes, we have
people?
15 people.
And these people are competitive. They have to get stuff done. They have to work with other successful, highly competitive people. What are some principles, or what are some things that your leadership style that you try to instill in your team?
So before I had children, I would say I was definitely more, you didn't do it perfect. It didn't look exactly the way I wanted it to. So I wouldn't say I was a micromanager, but I was more critical. And then when I went out on maternity leave, honestly, having children was the best thing that ever happened to me for my career, because it has given me, one, I had really bad postpartum anxiety with my first child. So I feel so much more empathy towards people who struggle with that, because I witnessed it firsthand.
It's a real thing.
Oh my God. And then, but again, like, I just grinned and bared it and just powered through, which not healthy. Ladies, don't do that. And then with my second child, I got really bad tinnitus after I had her. And it was so bad. And thank God, like, it's been gone now 4.5 months. Praise Jesus. But I forgot where I was going. Oh. So after I had children, I came back from maternity leave and I was like, oh oh my gosh, things are just going to go off the rails. Like, I'm not there to make sure that everything's perfect. Guess what? Everything was perfect. We did more revenue than we did the year before, and I wasn't there for 3 months. So actually, it taught me it's okay for people to do things the way that they want to do it as long as it's getting done. And what I do now is I think my team would agree with me. I know they would. I am the first person to like congratulate them if they get a big deal across the finish line. I'm the first person to be like, you crushed that. I am the first person to come to their defense. I will not accept a client talking rude to my team. Like, absolutely not. Like, we are human beings. We do not need to communicate that way. And I think a lot of people in my space specifically get so scared that we're not going to be able to make up the numbers if we lose this client. And when I came back from maternity leave with my second kid, we had a client, they represented $1 million in revenue for my team. They were so disrespectful to my right-hand person, Samantha. And I said, that's it. I'm firing them. And she said, are you sure? And I said, you are more important to me than money. And, you know, I told them that we were no longer aligned, and they were shocked. But, you know, I did that, and I cried afterwards because obviously I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make up all this money? And you know what? We made more money than we did the year after because we aligned with the people who were partners. And I think that, and she's told me, like, her previous job, nobody would have done that for her. They would have just like, get over it. And that is just not what we do here. But I will say, I am the first person, biggest cheerleader, but I am the first person to debrief and say, what could we have done better here? Or, hey, I've already told you this 3 times. I need you to respond in a way that we've already talked about. So I would say, like, I'm tough, but I'm fair. And I expect a lot, but I expect a lot of myself. And I think a lot of people in leadership, they expect a lot from the people who work for them or with them, but they don't expect a lot from themselves. And I think I'm the complete opposite. And so is Bill. We expect a lot from us, but we expect a lot from our team. And they are very, very much rewarded at the end of the year and throughout the year, not only from a monetary standpoint, but, you know, praising, and we do fun things together. Our average age of our team is actually 28 years old.
Wow.
I know. So it's kind of crazy because from a market standpoint, we have the clout of, you know, teams who are 20 plus years more experienced than we have. And what's great is it gives us the opportunity to keep growing because everybody's so young and they're hungry and they want to keep moving forward. And it keeps me really energized and, okay, well, I got to go find more business because our team continues to grow and I don't want to let anybody down. So yeah, that's kind of my style.
A lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
First of all, so it sounds like you developed the skill of empathy.
Yes,
even more.
very much so.
And that's something that I've had to develop, that empathy is a skill. And that's cool that you shared that.
You touched on that. Usually when people don't have empathy, people like kind of bucket them into sociopathic, which is, I am
or narcissist or whatever.
No, but I just think I didn't look at the lens through other people's eyes as much before I had children. And now when I approach situations, I try, obviously sometimes I fail, but I try to look at things in the way that the person across the table is looking at it. And there's a way to come to a common ground without it being, what is that word? Antagonistic.
Yeah, I think what you said is true, and what you taught me is the relationship between empathy and then a debrief.
Yes.
I think it makes both more effective. You know, it makes them more effective, more powerful. Because then when you debrief, you don't have to worry about, okay, how do I say this? How do I tiptoe? If you're truly empathetic, you already have that safety, and you can be like, look, you've given up 2 touchdowns. Like, you just can't be on the field anymore if you give up another touchdown. Like, we love you. We think you're great. But
those conversations are so hard too,
they're
especially
hard.
for people that when they work with you. I've actually never fired somebody before. I always.
So they just stay on your team forever, or you just like stop
No.
talking to them and they get the point?
No, I lead the horse to water,
You
but
coach them out. You either coach them up or coach them out.
yeah, and
Okay.
I let them go on to their next journey.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know, just people are like, oh, you've probably fired multiple people. I'm like, I have never fired anybody. I don't know. There's just something about it that just like doesn't sit well with me.
I
It's gonna
understand.
happen one day.
Yeah. No,
But
I understand.
I'm just not ready. I'm not ready yet.
Well, what have we not discussed that you want to bring up? We talked a lot of leadership, being a woman in insurance. Talked about how you got in the business. You work with your husband.
Yes. I met.
why-
I mean, I didn't talk about how I met my
Yeah.
husband.
How'd you meet your husband?
Okay, so I worked at in Houston at my first job, and I was an associate broker, and I did not run my own team. I basically was doing like service work, and then when they would let me market deals, I would. And we had a trading partner. He worked at Axis in Chicago. And Joe Pisoni was Bill's boss, and we were growing so much with him, our Houston office. And he said, hey, I'm going to come down to Houston in January, and I'm going to bring Bill. We just hired him. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And I wasn't going to be able to make the lunch because I was trying to do something for my boss. And they were like, no, you have to come. Joe always loves seeing you. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be late, but I'll be there. And it was my two bosses and Stacy and Gloria, and then Joe was there, and then Bill. And I remember walking into the restaurant and I see Bill. I mean, I just assumed he was 60. His name is Bill. And I turned the corner and I see him and I was like, well, he's not 60, that's for sure. And that was kind of it. Like, we locked eyes and that was like,
That's awesome.
yeah. We didn't date for like a year later, but I knew immediately he had a crush on me because he would send me emails about Texas and about Houston, and he lived in Chicago. And I'm like, nobody in Chicago cares about Houston. Nobody.
He was being smooth.
He was trying. He was a smooth operator. But yeah, so we dated long distance for 6 months, and I said, I'm moving to Chicago. I'm so crazy. And now that I'm a mom, I'm like, oh my God, my poor mom. And said, I'm moving to Chicago. And my old company said, we don't do remote workers. And I said, well, that's fine. I'll just find a new job. So at 27, I moved to Chicago. I quit my job. I started a new job, started my team, AKA me, at $0 in revenue at a small firm in Chicago.
Okay. And
I got my own place because I'm a nice Southern woman, paid $2,000 a month for a POS in Chicago. It didn't even have central AC. It was horrible. And we were dating, and he proposed to me like, I don't know, 6 months after I moved up, maybe 8 months. I'm not really sure. But man, living in Chicago was like the best time ever. 2 years in Chicago. I made so many great friends, and I learned a lot about myself in Chicago because Chicago brokers, they have grit. And I feel like that really came with me when I moved to Houston, because Houston is just a lot of wind business. In Chicago, it's a lot of fire business. And you're like competing against like mutuals and like these random companies that pop up left and right. And so I just brought that with me. And what happened is we moved to Houston, and Bill was like, I don't want to be an underwriter anymore. I'm ready to go back to brokering. And we were like young and in love, like, let's just work together. So that's how we started. We moved to Chicago. We moved to Houston, got married, bought a house. He switched companies. He came to the brokerage side. His salary cut in half. Wow. We had just bought a house, but we had delusional confidence, and here we are. First year, 2019, I think we did like, I don't know how much we did, like $1 million in revenue. And that was just him, me, and Samantha. And now we have 15 people on our team. So
that's awesome.
It's been so fun. It's been great.
This is the greatest industry in the history.
I agree.
Of Earth. It's apparently
changed my life.
It has changed my life too. I mean, I know I shared with you in there, but I'm a community college dropout, and what this industry has given me is, beyond my wildest dreams.
I know.
So it's just cool. You get to see the world. You get to meet amazing people. You have freedom for a lot of different things, but you learn a lot. You're not going to get any better unless you go through the grind and go through the fire. And so personally, it's a great
I
industry
agree.
too.
I think what makes a great broker is somebody who's curious. And I think the people who are curious and the people who want to keep learning, you can be a good broker and make an incredible living. Like people who are just okay at the job, they do amazing. But somebody who is really great at it, they take it, it's a career, and they're really curious and they keep developing new skills and growing not only just like themselves, but paying it forward and growing the next generation. And to your point, like I have gotten to see so many incredible places that I didn't even know existed because of insurance. And I had an amazing upbringing, but some of the things that I've been able to experience and to do would have never been possible if I wasn't in this industry. And so anytime somebody says, I don't know what to do, I'm like, you should just get into insurance. There's so much you can do, and there's so many different avenues that you can take. And you know, my brother-in-law's in insurance now too. He works at Brown and Riding on the wholesale side, on the casualty side. So that's been really fun. And then my sister's on the retail side. So I'm slowly getting my family into it. But yeah, I mean, insurance is great. I don't even think I talked about Brown and Riding. Should I talk about Brown and Riding a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it. Tell us about Brown and Riding.
Okay, Brown and Riding. So when we started at Brown and Riding, it was in 2021. Laura was 8 months old. And we were coming out of COVID. And what was crazy is the property market at the time, as we all remember, was just hardening like insane. And we had kind of outgrown the company that we were at. Just, it was time. And we were talking to a few companies, and Brown and Riding was not even on my radar. Like, absolutely not. Because I had come from one of the big three, and it just wasn't for, I just didn't even think about it. And Bill had a buddy, Will Sia, who had worked at Brown and Riding from the beginning, and I knew Will from Chicago. And Will reached out to Bill, and they started talking. And then, you know, I was kind of like postpartum, right? I had postpartum anxiety. Like, it was just a lot for me to take in.
Postpartum, COVID.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here.
And Bill came home and he said, we need to go work at Brown and Riding. I said, I don't know anything about Brown and Riding. And he said, I'm telling you, this will be the best decision we ever make in our life. And Bill is he lets me kind of lead, because that's not true. He leads, but he's not like when we're doing things on the weekend, it's like, oh, I already made all these plans. But when he says something and puts his foot down about something, I know that it's time to listen. Mm-hmm. And he was like, we have to go work there. It will change our life. And I was like, fine, I will go meet with them. I will hear what they have to say. And I met with one of the partners at the time. And then I met Jeff Rodriguez, our CEO. And I walked away, and I just had this feeling in my gut, and woman's intuition, it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, we're doing it. We're signing. And it is truly the best decision we've ever made. That's awesome. We became partners like year one. And it just has so much opportunity for people not only to like have an amazing living and like enjoy what they're doing, but it has given people, the partners at our company, an opportunity to get off the hamster wheel. And I think a lot of people don't understand the structure that we have, where we truly are 100% independently owned. We have 60 partners, and it's an opportunity for you to create wealth for your family, mm-hmm. and do it in a way that feels really good, and we've created a perpetuation, what is the word? Perpetuation
plan?
Yes. Perpetuation plan.
We say that a lot here too. I get that one mixed up. Perpetuation. There it is.
And when we started, there was 250 employees, and we're now at 600 employees. And so we are just growing. Yeah, we're just growing at a clip that the other companies in our industry just aren't on an organic basis. It's more by M&A. And what we've decided to do is really hone in on our values and what our mission is. And it's been a big disruptor in the industry, especially the past couple years. And I think people are really starting to see the relevance of our company. And it's because we're hiring amazing people. Like, we just hired Wes Benefield, and he's a professional lines broker, and he's made a huge splash in our company. And we hired Rena Visconti in the Northeast, and she's a construction broker on the casualty side. And we have really strong presence across the nation. And Bill and I were really the first to plant our, I'm so bad at these, but plant our flag.
Yeah, there you go. That works.
Set our flag in Texas and really like create a larger property presence for the company. And it's just grown exponentially. And it's been really fun because while it's a bigger organization than when we started, it still feels like everybody and everybody is moving in the same direction. And I didn't feel that way when I was working at other companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't wake up every day thinking, oh God, what's going to happen today with our company, or is our stock price going to drop or whatever. Right. It's more just, okay, this is our mission. We're moving forward, and we just keep doing what we're doing. And it's making a big wave in insurance. And I'm really proud of working at Brown & Writing. That's
awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I know our CEO, Brad Rucker, is connected with your CEO, Jeff, you said? And so they're, that's a good thing. All right. I have one last question, and then I'll ask you kind of where people can find you if they want to reach out. You'll probably get people that'll reach out to you on LinkedIn, like, hey, saw you on the podcast. It was great.
Great.
But before that, talk to me about delusional confidence. This will be our last question here. You said you wanted to be on a podcast in 2026. You put that on your vision board. I'm a sucker where I like to make, I'm a dreamer and I like to chase dreams, but if I can help someone with their goal, I like to do that. So right when you said that, I'm like, oh, let's get you on the podcast.
Yes.
But where did you get this delusional confidence from, and how has it served you in your life? Okay, I wouldn't call it delusional, but I get it.
Yes. I would love to take ownership of that phrase, but it is from, and if you guys follow her on Instagram, her name is Corporate Natalie. She has like 1 million followers or something, but she posted a reel and she said, I was born with this disease. It's called delusional confidence. And I was like, oh my God, I was born with that disease. And I think it comes from my parents because I just thought I can do anything I put my mind to. And I don't know. I really do think like you're either born with that or you're not. Like, I don't think that's a skill that can be taught. Now, you can hone in on people's confidence and you can tailor that to whatever it is that they want to focus on. But I think you're born with it or you're not. And I mean, to be honest, like, this is crazy. But if I'm 5'3", and I truly thought, well, if I wanted, like, this is how crazy I am. Well, if I wanted to be a supermodel, like, I could too. No, I'm 5'3". Like, that's never going to happen. But I literally think this. And every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, you can do whatever you want. As long as you put your mind to it and as long as you put in the work, you can get to where you want to go. And I really want to instill that in my girls. And I think it's important for us to instill that in the next generation because we need people who are going to lead and we need people who are going to inspire. And I just remember watching that reel and it really resonated with me because I have felt that way since I was little and just, well, I can do that, or I can become first place in that, or I could be the best in that. And yes, you can, but you have to put the work in. And I think what I've learned, especially in this industry, is you can be as good as you want to be as long as you put the work in, and then the luck will follow. But you have to create your own luck.
I love it. So where can people find you? I know you got an Instagram where you miss fashion, and then you got obviously LinkedIn. And so where can people find you and reach out?
Okay, so
there's
I have
agents listening too that maybe want to work with you too.
You can reach me out, or you can reach me on my LinkedIn. And then, yes, I do have an Instagram. I started it because I needed inspiration to get dressed every morning after having my second kid. And it's been so fun because it makes me think differently than I do on a daily basis with work. And what I do is I post my outfits, of course, but I also give some advice of things that I've learned in being in a male-dominated industry for the past 13 years and things that I would do again and things that I would absolutely never do again. So it's been fun, and it's a good follow. So you can follow me on Instagram. But yes, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and that's probably the best way to do it. I love LinkedIn. If you are not using LinkedIn as a tool for your business, you are missing out on an opportunity. It's such a great way to connect with people, and it's such a great way to like keep in contact with people as they move around. Because as we know, everybody changes jobs and they move different places and people's positions change, and it's a great way to like keep in touch with people. So I would say LinkedIn is probably the best way. Okay. Send me a message.
Send her a message. Well, JulieAnne, thank you so much for stopping by. I learned a ton. This was fun. And look forward to doing some business with you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for like making my 2026 goal happen. I love it.